Hello, it's Saturday morning, the 21st of September, and like usual, it's first thing in the morning for me. Just getting my motor going, um, appreciating the feedback and the comments. Also, a couple of folks have kindly sent me gifts. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. And I've received some more music to review. I'll show it, but I'm not ready to review it. Charlie Kaywood or Kawwood. I'm not sure how you say your last name, Charlie, so I'll look it up. But he sent me a package including his latest CD. It's not a beautiful cover. I have just scraped the surface of it. This is called Blurring into Motion. I get these patches where I end up getting busy and I don't have the time. But shortly after I received that in mail yesterday, I got a call from the local hip hop act, the Dilla Kids, asking me if I would be interested in sitting in with them at their show last night. I had recently recorded some bass with them. The track is not released yet. And I said, oh, wow, sure. Because it's happening at this new place in Omaha called the Culture House. Happening down in the middle of the blackest part of Omaha, where the city tries to forget that we exist. And this area is starting to explode with interest, business, and some gentrification, which I don't particularly care for. I wish it was urbanization, where things are being blended rather than being pushed out. But anyway, that happened yesterday, and so I didn't get a chance to listen to it good. I'm playing tonight in Lincoln at the Lincoln Calling Music Festival. We don't have a lot of music festivals in Nebraska. I'm really pleased to have been asked to play again this year. This is my third time performing there. My first time performing as a solo act under my own name. And I've been getting my thing together, what I'm going to do tonight, because it's kind of different than what I usually do. I'm not just going to be playing to backing tracks. I'm going to be creating live stuff using loops and samples as well as my bass. Some people on the... anyway, hopefully I'll have a report on that afterwards. I'm going to try and do a poll this morning. I want to dedicate it to Lisa. Thank you, Lisa, for your feedback, and you bought some of my music, so thank you for your support. Mainly, I know you like what I do, so thank you. So let's see what I can come up with today. I haven't gone back in this corner yet. It's kind of inaccessible. So let's go back here and see what comes up right quick. And we have Mr. Milton Nascimento from Brazil. Yaurete. I'm not sure if I'm saying that right. Milton Nascimento has he's a national treasure, if I understand, in Brazil, in South America, and he has a voice that is just, it's singular. And of course, the Brazilian music, which is so melodically amazing and emotional. Milton Nascimento he's fantastic. He's fantastic. Okay. Right in here. I always tend to go to it's like I don't know, but oh, okay. Now this is interesting. I just recently watched a short documentary on Alejandro Jodorowsky. El Topo. This is the soundtrack, original version on Apple Records. And of course, being a Beatles fan, that was my original interest in this, was the fact that the soundtrack was on Apple Records. I finally saw the movie El Topo in the 90s, and it's an acid trip. It's a very visually intense and surreal movie. As you can see, these pictures show. And the soundtrack is very eclectic. It's eclectic. I do actually enjoy the soundtrack itself. I like soundtracks. I don't have a big selection of soundtracks, but I do collect soundtracks to a degree. They're over here, but I haven't put them in order. They're in the same section as compilations. I'm going to pull and see if I grab one or not, because like I said, this section is in disarray. Boy, it really is. Let me just kind of grab one. Okay, what did I grab? Okay, like I told you, it's in the compilation section, which needs to be reorganized. This is a great series that came out back in the 70s. Pebbles. I only have a couple of volumes, but this was early attempts to start to collate and compile some of the lost music of the 60s. Garage, freak beat, psychedelic rock, and there are some great, this one in particular, TC Atlantic on here, The Hogs, Crystal Chandelier, Calico Way, Third Bardo, volume number 3. This one is a real good one, real good. Okay, I'm going to put the ones that I pulled, rather than put them in my stack to play over here, I'll put them over here because I'm going to just refile them. Okay. All right, let's go back. Have I been over in there? I don't think I have. Sun Ra. I have been back here. We have pulled Sun Ra before, haven't we? But not this one. Thunder of the Gods. This is a more recent issue. Yeah, 2017. As you know, everybody's been jumping on the Sun Ra bandwagon because he had so much material. I've listened to this, but I don't remember it. I do remember that I was not disappointed. Sun Ra's done a lot of recordings, and some things take a while to settle in as far as figuring out what's going on. This one, I liked it right away. Thunder of the Gods, Sun Ra. How are we doing so far? Another quick side, someone mentioned that they noticed that when I mentioned King's X, that was my first mention. I had never mentioned the band or Doug Pinnick before. There's so much music that there's no way to cover it all, but the fact that I haven't mentioned an artist doesn't mean that I don't know about them. Now, the thing I'll say about King's X and Doug is that I've always felt the kinship with him, being a black rocker, a black man who is doing rock music. Their style has never really, it's just too bluesy for me. Okay, I keep saying this, but I just want people to understand. It's so close to the bone of what I've lived and what I live and what I'm constantly having to deal with my cousin neighbor who's always playing the blues outside. It doesn't appeal to me. I really try to steer as far away from the American blues sound as possible. So that has a lot to do with why I've never been interested in buying King's X records. I know they've done stuff beyond what I'm talking about. I've heard it, okay? Much respect to King's X, okay? All right, let's go right in here. That's capturing my attention right there, so why? What is it? What do we have here? Okay, here's one that I was going to sell. Then I said, let me listen to this again, because there's history behind this. You know, Led Zeppelin are doing session work on this album, The Family Dog. They had an album that got put out has a weird cover. Always caught my attention, and when I finally got a copy of it as a like used or something, I was disappointed. Family Dog. This is some kind of pop rock music that the claim to fame is that not just Jimmy Page, but I think John Bonham and John Paul Jones are also among the session musicians on this album. So I'm glad that when I pulled it to play it, to make sure that I wanted to get rid of it, I'm glad I did, because it's like, well, this is pretty good. Actually, it's not that it'll be one I'll play often, but actually I'll also share this. One time I did try to use it in trade. They wouldn't take it. I'm glad they didn't. I'm glad I kept this. The Family Dog. Look it up. Look it up. Now here's something sitting out for me to play because I pulled it out of the closet, so I'll show this right quick. Yeah, this Pear's Cinnamon Nut Swirl is my copy. This is from the New World Records label, which was funded by the Rockefellers. New World. See, there's a whole lot of conspiracy stuff that I've been exposed to that I can't help but think about when I see stuff like this, because I'm certain that a lot of it is true, just because of the way things have been going in this world. But here's one that I need to get to. Avant-garde and third stream jazz, Mirage. And what we have here is a compilation of music pieces by the Woody Herman Orchestra, Duke Ellington, Lenny Tristano, Charles Mingus, George Russell, giants. I just haven't put it on yet. Okay, let's go down here. What do we have here? The Orb. Little Fluffy Clouds, 12-inch single of The Orb. Dr. Alex Patterson. After rave and techno, blew up and people were doing drugs for days, the chill out room became a thing, where people go when they're done dancing and they're just blobs of jelly at the end of the day, night, or in the morning. And this is where some of this music, I understand, started to develop, was in chill out. And I love this stuff. It's very spacey. The beats are there, but this is psychedelic. Yeah, this shit is psychedelic. The Orb. Little Fluffy Clouds. And the voice on here that's talking about Little Fluffy Clouds, that's Ricky Lee Jones, who I almost met, but it was not she didn't want to meet me because I was disturbing her. One time I was traveling and I was staying at a hotel, I think in Minneapolis, and she ended up being at the same hotel, and I spotted her at the swimming pool. So me and my buddy went out, but the thing was, we spotted her about the same time as some other people did. So she took off, pissed off, that she was interrupted. It's one of those things that happens when you're a public figure, huh? Let's go over here where you can't see. Just see what comes up. Yeah, these are packed tight. I just spoke about him, George Russell, and the Living Time Orchestra, the African Game. Composer, musician, a giant whose name has been obscured in history. The names like Thelonious Monk and Duke Ellington, those people I just mentioned, Well, this just explains it all. Here we have a Library of Congress record, basically, about the giants of avant-garde jazz. And who's on here besides Duke Ellington, Woody Herman, and Stan Kenton, and Lenny Tristano? George Russell. George Russell is amazing. One of my favorite jazz albums. Electronic Sonata for Souls Loved by Nature. George Russell. One of my favorites. Okay. We'll go up. This is a Mew t-shirt from the Glass-Handed Kites from that tour. Right here. What do we got here? What have we got here? Clyde Kriner. I don't know anything about him. I picked this up years ago cheaply because it was on the Novice label, which was an RCA label that was trying to, I think, compete with ECM and labels like that. Of course, they couldn't compete, but they were putting out jazz-related fusion records, and this is when I took a chance on Behind the Sun by Clyde Kriner. It's a keyboardist, and this is actually pretty good. It's pretty tasteful, and he's got some great players on here. It's got a funky, soulful feel, but it's good. Instrumental mainly. Carlos Santana is on here. Omar Hakim, Marcus Miller. Okay, with some names. Clyde Kriner. And here, this is cool that, doing a poll, because God knows if I would have ever shown this otherwise. And some of you may actually want to look this album up. He's got more than one record. Clyde Kriner. This is good. This is good. George Russell over here. I'll put this back away. Okay. Yeah, this is fun. I'll go down over here. Down over here. Yeah, this is one of the areas I know really well what's over here. Not surprised it's a Yukihiro Takahashi album, New Romantic. When this came out in the US, early 80s, 81, I mean, this is a fantastic album. It was almost like he was going to break through in America, and become a name. This album is that good. It didn't happen, but this album is excellent. Mixture of electronic and just straight fantastic pop music. As I've said many times, Yellow Magic Orchestra and the cats from that band are among my top favorites. I just love this album, New Romantic. Phil Manzanera's on here, Bill Nelson. Just really wonderful craftsmanship. Takahashi is a great writer. He has written some really, really wonderful songs. This is one I highly recommend. New Romantic by Yukihiro Takahashi. Let's do one more, okay? Let's do one more. I'm going to just go straight down here. Oh man, I need some space. These things are jammed tight. Can barely pull it out. What did I pull? Okay, I think I've talked about this recently. This is an artist by the name of Meitz, M-E-I-T-Z, doing a remix of the German band Mrs. Beastly. The song Geisha. And I like Mrs. Beastly, but this remix is killer. They take the Mrs. Beastly song and really jazz it up nicely. This was one I just took a chance on. I found it somewhere out of town for maybe $2, and I was really happy to get it home. And it's just tasty, really good, real good. Thanks, folks, for being with me. Again, I want to thank you folks who recently sent me money. Because I'm not asking for it. I encourage you, if you don't know my music, to check me out and listen and maybe buy something. Okay? I'll be back soon, I hope. Yeah, I do. I hope so.